I've spent most of my life trying to ride bikes faster. Now, I'll let you be the judge on how successful I've been on that particular mission, but recently I've been wondering whether or not my obsession actually means that I've been missing out. Do I need to slow down? We all ride bikes for different reasons, and one of the amazing things about them is that they are so adaptable. We can all be happy, whether that's from pro racing or ultra-distance epics, through getting fit and riding with mates, to more utilitarian but equally fun riding like commuting and cargo biking. And then there's also slow cycling, just getting out there and enjoying it for the sake of it. It's not about the destination, it's the journey, that kind of vibe. Now, it's not new to me. Yes, I know, I was pretty slow at cycling even when trying to be fast. But no, I mean actual slow cycling. I've even had a lesson or two from the master, Jack Thurston. And I did really enjoy it, it's just not something I ever do. However, I had an epiphany at the weekend. I was out, as usual, with my mates at the crack of dawn for a ride that is full gas from start to finish, followed by coffee and then home. It's a staple, and I absolutely love it. But it was only later, when I was out for a dog walk of all things, that I realised that despite having already been out in the same beautiful, quiet and peaceful surroundings for 2 hours that morning, I hadn't noticed them, not one bit, which is weird because normally I'd at least appreciate the view or the sunrise or, I don't know, like a tree or something, but nope, hadn't noticed. It had been full gas. You know, when I think about it, all my riding is actually about speed. Even riding to and from work, even in zone 2. I'm either trying not to be late or rushing to get home. And even on my cargo bike, I'm always trying to get a little bit more speed, wishing there was a bit more power coming from the motor. And whilst I'm not actually blind to where I am or the landscape that I'm riding through, if I am completely honest, I probably see it in kind of snapshots and snippets rather than being totally immersed. Like photo, not video. The question is though, does it really matter? I'd always have said no, it doesn't really. I mean, going fast is what I love. Going fast was also useful back when my career depended on it, although I was never clearly quite fast enough. But even now, when speed doesn't actually count for anything, I'm still left with that feeling of always wanting to be fast or always wanting to be fit. But yet, there's a big part of it, you know, where I just actually really enjoy it, whether that's on-road, off-road, or yes, even cargo biking. Not only does it keep me physically fit and happy as well, there is also some research out there that suggests there's an additional benefit on your mental health of green exercise, which is basically doing an activity out in the open air. It supposedly improves your well-being and your self-esteem and your mood. Although a recent meta-analysis has kind of cast a little bit of doubt on that as to whether or not it's more effective than general exercise based on poor quality research. And certainly I couldn't find anything to suggest that I needed to exercise with lactate levels up to my eyeballs and breathing out of However, I read an excellent book recently called Movements. It was written by a Dutch journalist, Talia Verkade, and it was written in collaboration with a professor of urban mobility, Marco te Brommelstraat. And in it, they talk about how riding a bike offers the perfect way of experiencing a higher state of consciousness, something they call flow. Now, I would totally agree with that. But I was really struck by a paragraph that said that riding a typical Dutch bike, the kind that has you sat bolt upright, was perfect because you were wide open to your surroundings, so you could take in lots of different stimuli. So being aero then, it would seem, is not good for flow. And it made me think once again about my weekend ride and about all of the other riding I'd done that week to and from work and so forth. And I hadn't taken in anything of my surroundings. I was like a zombie. That same chapter also points out that many people talk about how cycling is great for clearing their minds and allowing them to come up with all sorts of incredible, groundbreaking and original ideas, or at the very least, process their day and sort through their problems. Now, I can't ever really claim to have any groundbreaking, amazing or original ideas, nor am I very good at processing my problems. For me though, cycling only ever really seems to clear my mind when I'm going flat out, at which point it's taking all of my concentration and I can lose myself in absolute focus, which in itself is actually quite relaxing. Maybe that is a type of flow, I just don't know that I'm in it. Either way, it is very one-dimensional, and I feel like I'm missing out. So what can I do about it? Well, I've noticed that there are two types of ride that I do occasionally do that actually does help me experience this kind of flow. One of which is an epic off-road ride, and I'm talking like 250 kilometers plus. So not the kind of thing that you would trot out a couple of times a week. I honestly don't think I have ever enjoyed being on a bike more than when I set out to do King Alfred's Way in a day and get the FKT. It is a 350 kilometre gravel loop around southern England. And I think having to go relatively slowly in order to pace myself, but yet being focused on a clear and rather monumental task at hand was just the perfect combination. Being off-road helps because it's another thing to focus on and traffic is pretty noisy. Although, maybe if the roads are quiet enough. Col de la Madeleine at 7 a.m, 50 kilometres into a 250 kilometre day, also did the trick. Now, whether I could artificially induce that state of mind by going out at that same all-day epic pace, but only for an hour, I'm not yet sure. But it's definitely worth a try, as is lining up a couple of epics for this year. The second type is to go for a ride with my dogs, which sounds weird, but to be clear, they aren't riding, it's just me. Now, being out and out sprinters, they can only do about 7K, but honestly, in that short time, I don't think I ever experienced flow like it. Slow on the climbs, then rip little bits of trail. Absolutely brilliant. In terms of stress busting and appreciating your surroundings, this is absolutely top notch. The only downside is that every ride then starts with a journey in the car, which does suck. I mentioned a moment ago about how Dutch bikes are perfect for opening up your senses. And I confess, I don't own a single bike set up like that. I mean, my mountain bike possibly is the more relaxed, but that too is pretty racy. I mean, my Brompton is set up to be aero, and even my cargo bike, look, has the stem pointing down for gains. That, though, is a quick fix. And so this bike, I think, is the one that's going to have the responsibility of opening me up to stimuli. It's all very well, though, saying, I can see something I can improve, so I need to change. It is, however, a very different thing to actually change. So, what can I do? Part of my problem, I think, is that, like many of you, I'm sure, I feel like I'm always in a rush. There are just so many things that need doing in a day. And so the idea of being able to save a little bit of time on something like travel is really appealing. But if I then sit back and actually look at it objectively, I'm obsessing over 2 to 4 minutes most of the time, probably even less when it comes to the average cargo bike journey. So I think perhaps I just need to get a grip. Again, going back to research that I read about in that book, Movement, Marco de Brommelstraat shows that actually a lot of cyclists already don't choose the shortest route. And that actually we tend to choose routes that are naturally more interesting or more varied, and we perceive those as being quicker. And so most people, I suspect, are already several steps ahead of me on this. But still, that is going to be my 3-point plan. Okay, more epic rides this year, more rides with the dogs, still sounds weird, and then flipping my stem up in the air, taking the long route, 2 fingers to going fast. Now, I'd be super interested to hear your thoughts on this. Have you had similar epiphanies? Are you not interested in going fast anyway, or are you just not interested in going slow? It's a big topic, this one, particularly when it starts getting towards mental health. So please get involved in the comments section. I'm super interested to read your thoughts. Please also give this video a big thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. I'll give you an update later in the year, perhaps. We'll see how my slow cycling journey is getting on.